Hi everyone, this is one of my practice games with the new kit deck that I'm currently trying out. I am up against Jinteki Replicating Perfection today, and I'll just cut to the chase. This game was very grueling. The Jinteki enemy deck was full of economic assets and lots of annoying ice. And the agendas were very few and far between, and all were worth very high agenda points, as many as Jinteki could allow. So it ended up being a very long game where the corp kept trying to ice R&D, HQ, and a remote server for scoring, and I kept trying to pry them open with my suite of breakers. So most of the game is not very interesting actually. So what I'll use this video for instead is to go through all the tools in my kit deck. Because this game was so long, I managed to use virtually every single tool that was available in my arsenal. I think at the end of the game, there were only 10 cards remaining in my stack. Yeah, everything else was used or discarded due to net damage at one point or another. So go to the video description and jump to the various points where I use certain tools of my deck and show how they can be used to break through the enemy's defenses. Enjoy. This is the starting point of my deck, a Yog paired with a Datasucker. Ideally, I like to have this out much earlier than this. Right now, it's roughly the 6th turn, or rather 6th runner turn, and I'm just getting the combo started. Also, ideally, what I want to do is to install the Datasucker using as few clicks as possible so I can spend the rest of the turn running and accumulating Datasucker tokens. Once I have about at least three Datasucker tokens, I can more or less safely run on any single ice server. That would be an ideal start. This game, it didn't happen because I was too busy with trashing the enemy's private contracts and losing some cards to the War of Thorns. But eventually, I managed to test run my Yog and SMC out my Datasucker, and I was now on the board. Nothing much else to say about this. Very straightforward combination, very powerful in conjunction with Kit's ability. By right, program trashing with power shutdown isn't a problem for this deck. With the use of clone chip and SMC, your Datasuckers are more than well protected from any vicious power shutdowns. However, in this case, I didn't protect my Datasucker, and it got trashed to the power shutdown. and I lost all my progress. In case you were wondering where the Yog went, well, I face checked a Grim without enough Datasucker tokens. My bad luck. But that's fine. It does cause you to do some tempo, but with Katie Jones and program recursion, there isn't much trouble getting the Yog and Datasucker back. And in the worst case, you can do what I'm trying to do right now, which is getting the torch out. Skip ahead to find out just how good the torch was for my game. The Stimhack Shaper combo. Stimhack is so good in Shaper because you can couple it with Personal Workshop, SMC, and Clone Chip. In this case, I use Stimhack to liberate my torch of Personal Workshop, and just like that, I'm back in the game with a decoder, a very strong one at that. Losing one brain damage to Jinteki is not that big of a deal because it still leaves me at 4 cards max hand size, which is important, which is where you want to be when you're fighting against snares. But more importantly, having a decoder, a flexible decoder, allows me to break through any piece of ice right now, especially that pesky Wall of Thorns sitting in HQ. If I had another Stimhack, I could liberate my Toolbox as well from the other Personal Workshop. That would really speed my game up. Besides Dirty Laundry and Sure Gamble, Stimhack is the only other source of burst economy in my deck. And it gives more money than both Dirty Laundry and Sure Gamble combined. This is why it justifies its place in my deck, even though it takes up a bit of influence, which Kit is very short of. That's all I have for Stimhack. A very worthy card indeed. At the end of the day, my kit deck didn't have enough influence to slot in any of the criminal consoles, which are so good and so popular. So I went for the in-faction Toolbox instead. But Toolbox is not to be underestimated. It is very powerful and served me very well during this game. When I got Toolbox out, I was able to assemble a rig of Torch, Atman, Datasucker, and SMC without busting my memory unit limit. That was quite important because I wanted to have the versatility in running R&D, which had 2 unrest ice, without risking suffering the subroutines of any nasty ice in the way. Toolbox also offers 2 free credits for use for icebreakers, which is quite important when your raid consists of Torch and Atman. Combined with the 2 bad publicity that Jinteki gave me, I was able to run through most servers for very cheap. So I didn't need to spend clicking for KT, which was very important. Lastly, Toolbox also gives tooling, which is not that relevant in this game, but is very good against NBN, which is the most popular faction in the current metagame. True to its name, Toolbox really does provide a toolbox of answers and solves a lot of problems as long as you can get it out. Its 9 cost is hefty, but with Stimhack, it can be mitigated. The synergy of Atmans and Parasites has been around for a long time and has been exploited a lot by people who play Kate Atman decks or Cartman decks. I use some of that here as well. Parasite removes low strength ice from the game, which reduces the number of ice protecting a server and allows Kit's ability to be more effective. High strength ice, on the other hand, can be dealt with by Atman for very cheap. It's a very versatile combo that is almost impossible for Corps to counter. In this game, what I did was to use an Atman 5 to get past the Grim and the Wall of Thorns, while leaving my Parasites to deal with Surugis, because I don't want to be paying 4 credits to pass each one every single time I run. This worked out very favorably for me, and was able to cut through both HQ and R&D for very cheap. This is why Atman and Parasite is very powerful, and is used in conjunction with the Torch and Kit's ability. Shapers have a variety of options at their disposal when it comes to digging for R&D. They have Maker's Eye, they have R&D interface, and they have indexing. In this deck, I chose to use Maker's Eye. R&D interfaces are rather expensive to install, and are not really geared towards early game, which is where Kit is strongest at, crashing through 1 layer thin ice. Hence, an early Maker's Eye run can easily pull a lot of agendas out to quickly close the game. As for indexing, while it is very effective, Jackson Howard is definitely a real problem, but more importantly, Kit's ability only activates once per turn. So if I cannot afford to break the server again without the help of Kit's ability, I won't be able to run R&D more than once to fetch the agendas that I've just indexed within the same turn. So that's a huge problem. Hence my choice of using Maker's Eye. In this specific game, Maker's Eye turned out to be not that effective, because the one Maker's Eye I drew was stopped dead by a Nisei counter. Nothing much I can do about it, but at least that baited out the one Nisei counter. So that's Maker's Eye. A way to dig for agendas in R&D to close the game quickly is very important. It should be present in every single Shaper's deck, if not every runner deck.